News First, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And top of the morning to you. This is Newsline Live. We're broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And ahead of a further political happening later in the day, namely the resignation of the incumbent Prime Minister, who's announced his intention to do that but hasn't formally done so just about yet, and the appointment thereafter, around 3 o'clock today, of the new incoming Prime Minister, interim even, would be Mahinda Rajapaksa, we're told. And to discuss these various political maneuvers, we've got a very interesting guest here this morning. But ahead of that, we've got a small clip to play for you.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in his statement notes that he values democracy, respects democracy and acts democratically. He says that he is resigning from the post of the Prime Ministership because of democracy. The question on everyone's mind is this: where is Ranil Wickremesinghe's democracy when it comes to his own party? Having led his party to defeat upon defeat, having reduced his party's voter base to record lows, having dismantled the strong grassroots network that made the United National Party a ferocious contender in any election, he still refuses to leave and hand over the mantle of party leadership to the younger, more capable and popular generation of leaders. One cannot forget the fact that while Ranil Wickremesinghe was elected to end corruption, it was during his tenure that the biggest corruption scandal of all was exposed. What's more, while Ranil Wickremesinghe has held the post of Prime Minister on 5 occasions, he has never completed a single one of those terms. Each and every time he has been handed over the responsibility of shepherding our nation, he has ended up handing it over on a platter to another party or another individual. And yet he retains his own position within the UNP, either as Prime Minister or as opposition leader. Since Ranil Wickremesinghe says he believes in democracy, he would then accept that the cornerstone of a vibrant democratic system is a strong opposition in Parliament. Without a strong opposition, nepotism, corruption and even totalitarianism can take hold of the nation. It is time, Mr. Wickremesinghe, that even though you may not have a conscience that answers to the people of Sri Lanka, that perhaps you at least then think of your own legacy and step down as leader of the United National Party and allow this grand old party to rebuild itself and play its role as one of the 2 main parties in the Sri Lankan political democracy. Your plan to end up as opposition leader of a depleted UNP in Parliament will serve nobody but you and your cronies. Enough is enough, Mr. Wickremesinghe. Please step down as the leader of the UNP.
And our guest this morning is Mr. Chandima Virakodi. Very good morning to you, Mr. Virakodi.
Good morning, Faraz.
The unthinkable, the unthinkable has happened from my standpoint. Were you expecting this turn of events, this chain of events?
Well, it was not unthinkable. That was what was expected by the people in this country.
Right.
And repeatedly they rejected UNP for the second time in a matter of 2 years. So I think it's important for this government, for the UNP, to realize that people want a fresh parliament. People want to exercise their mandate to elect members of parliament. They should not only step down from the portfolios as Prime Minister and ministers, but they should support people's expectation by allowing an election. That has not been done. So, though there is a clear mandate to a president, there is a clear vision, and the president within a very short period has addressed a lot of issues that has to be addressed, that the people of this country expected to be addressed.
Right.
But for him to proceed beyond that, he must have a strong parliament, a clear majority in parliament. I think it is the duty and the responsibility of the UNP and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and his team to support a motion in Parliament in order to dissolve Parliament.
And on Newsline Live, we encourage you to send us your questions by SMS, please. SMS only, because you can't be flipping through to WhatsApp and so on. And the number to use, of course, is 0772 300 305. We are discussing these matters with a former minister and current parliamentarian, Mr. Chandima Weerakkody. He's spent time at petroleum and so on, and he's here to help dissect the recent events, the election of a new president, the 7th president of Sri Lanka, Nandasena Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and also to discuss the leadership of the United National Party, only because it has a bearing on national politics. And Mr. Chandima Weerakkody is our guest. Now then, Mr. Weerakkody, so it looks like what you're saying is the people want leadership.
Absolutely. People felt that there is no leadership in this country. Nothing was moving forward.
Yeah.
The government couldn't take decisions.
Yeah.
The top two leaders were infighting.
Right.
Fractions within the government couldn't agree on what should be done to the country, to take the country forward. So everything collapsed, and the personal agenda of a few came top priority of the government, which resulted in crashing the economy. As you said, within a few months of the previous presidential victory, the biggest scam in this country was instrumental with the blessings of the top leaders of this country. To date, the entire economy and the people are suffering due to that.
You're talking about this bond
scam.
Bond scam.
And then what happened to our export crops?
Actually, what has happened? Why is okay? We can see that the bond matter was by design. It was commissioned that way.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen. But agriculture, what happened there? What about what has happened?
No,
we had people who had dreams, and then they banned the fertilizer, the glyphosate, right? And then it affected the production of
and more than that, I mean, the export crops like cinnamon,
yeah,
pepper,
yeah,
even tea prices. Usually when the rupee crashes,
yeah,
export crops gain a better profit in Sri Lankan terms. But when the dollar was 120, kilo tea leaves were sold at even 108 rupees per kilo.
right.
But now the dollar is over 180, but they can't fetch even 70 rupees a kilo. Look at what happened to cinnamon.
But is that Ranil Wickremesinghe's fault?
I mean, they allowed re-export. They allowed. Now what happened to pepper? For the benefit of a few members in the ruling government,
Yeah.
pepper was imported from various countries and re-exported. They mixed the Sri Lankan product, which had a unique taste, for which we had a niche market. And as a result of this lower quality blend, the prices, like those days the prices about 1,450 a kilo. Now it has come down to 350.
And this directly impacts on a lot of people of your constituency.
My area, people suffer. They can't sell, they can't even pluck, because the cost of a labourer is more than the price that you can fetch.
Right.
So as a result of that, the rural economy collapsed, and the foreign exchange that came into the country dropped. But yet the government was talking about export diversification, development and improvement of agricultural sector, plantation sector. These only became stories that are limited to speeches and booklets that they printed at a cost once again. So people started feeling now tourism sector was affected, as of now, most of the hotels are vacant, and the people who obtain loans to buy vans and other vehicles to transport tourists, they find it difficult to even pay the installments. Leasing companies are behind them. Now the leasing companies are also in a difficulty. All what they can do is to seize the vehicle, and vehicles that have been seized are parked in thousands. They cannot sell those to any other party to get their money back. So the entire economy came to a standstill. So people wanted a leadership. People wanted a strong leader who can firstly secure security in this country and then change how people think. Now, governments, what did the government do? They put up more boards than the work that they did. Huge boards started appearing in certain parts of India. Different culture was being introduced to the country. Everything was a function only. Lots of money was spent on functions. And when this government came into power, one of their key slogans was the backup vehicles and the number of vehicles used by the politicians and the officials. But what did they end up doing?
You're going to have a problem, aren't you? Well, not you personally, but members of parliament who used to being late for appointments and getting the roads cleared ahead by their backups and so on, are now going to have a problem because President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has reduced his own from 15 to 2.
Absolutely.
And he's also said that he will be adhering to the traffic rules. This spells great disaster for the rest of the members of parliament.
In a country where there is discipline, what we lacked in Sri Lanka was discipline. Now in other countries, also in a developed country, the same issues are there. But there are the elected members, including the Prime Minister, the President, they function as ordinary people. But here what has happened is, once you get elected, they try to get distance from the people. Of course, if there is if it's a situation where you are wanted within a certain period, then even in any part of the world, getting the road cleared for a particular moment, occasionally, I don't think anyone will oppose that. But not every day that you need to do such things as a routine.
Now, when we are talking about, it's not easy, but these are the statistics. We're talking about the resignation expected today of a man who spent over 40 plus years in Parliament, 25 years and 9 days, today is the 9th day, 25 years and 9 days as leader of the United National Party. He has taken oaths as Prime Minister not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times. He's taken oaths 5 times as Prime Minister. And he has never completed a full parliamentary term as Prime Minister. And so today, when we see this virtually colossus actually in Parliament, and when we see that he is resigning when he didn't have to, something's triggered him off, and he's talking about, he says, democracy. But for 40 years we've been subject to having this man in Parliament, and it's frightening that perhaps the least democratic person has been none other than the so-called champion of democracy, because, and I'm saying this because if you examine the record, I've just told you already, 40 years, 25 years plus 9 days as leader of the United National Party, and God knows how many electoral defeats, but he's never completed a 5-year term, a full term. So what does that
well, maybe he's trying to get into Guinness Book of World Records as the longest served opposition leader in the world. So anyway, now what is important at the moment in this country is not to be drawing attention to infighting.
That's true.
Of
We'll
the
to look
defeated.
at the
People have
the past-
rejected.
the
People have
past-
rejected the UNP and its leadership. So what is expected now? Now there is a new government. People are now full of expectation. People want now real action to take place in this country, and people are if you look at the decisions taken by the president-elect within a short period of time, people feel, they are confident, they think that there will be a change.
Shall we listen to what he had to say?
Yeah.
Let's listen to what he had to say.
During the past 5 years, we worked towards ensuring democracy, freedom of the people, freedom of speech, right to information, equality and harmony in this nation. We also paved way towards sustainable development in this country. Through the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, we freed all institutions from politicization. The presidential election being conducted in a peaceful and fair manner was also an outcome of our tenure. The future will give the right judgment of our actions. I met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday. We spoke on the Parliament's future course of action. Even though we have the majority in Parliament, we have decided to respect the public mandate that was given to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and give him way to establish a government that would work with him towards the development of this nation. I commend democracy. I respect democracy. I will work democratically. According to that, I have decided to step down as the Prime Minister and give way to the President to form a government that would work according to his plan. I will officially communicate this to the President tomorrow. During the time I was Prime Minister, I was praised. At the same time, I was insulted. I heard good as well as bad. I thank everyone who praised me, insulted me, said good about me and said bad about me. I express my gratitude towards everyone who worked with me.
මගේ රාජකාරී කටයුතු සඳහා සහාය වුණ සියල්ලටම කෘතවේදීත්වය පුද කරනවා. ඔබ සැමටම ස්තුතියි.
You know, I'm flabbergasted because this is the man, 40 years, 25 years and 9 days, several losses, and he's saying porky pies. In simple English, it's lies, because he's lying. He can't possibly respect democracy, because where is the democracy within his own party? There is no democracy, and I'm sorry. Well, I am actually truly sorry, because it saddens me that we have a leader who can come before the public, before the people, and say so clearly that he is a respecter, a lover of democracy, when the precise opposite is true. Chandi Mavirakodi, why is it that in Parliament you all don't pay attention to these matters?
We do, but I mean, this is what the Prime Minister feels and what he says. But at the same time, people are more alert and intelligent. Now he's talking about democracy. He talked about transparency in 2015. What did he first do? He criticized removal of former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranaike, where the procedure set out in the Constitution was followed. But immediately after they came into power, they walked into the Supreme Court of this country, grabbed the sitting Chief Justice, threw him out without any complaint, any inquiry, without following any provision of the Constitution. First act itself was an act in contrary of the provisions of the Constitution. People watched it, and then what did he do? He appointed a FCID. I mean, in Sri Lanka there is police.
The FCID, it was a good idea.
There is police. Police has CID and
the
other.
FCID is only a unit of the police.
No, it's not a. It's
not a standalone thing.
It is. It was by.
It is because that's how they used it.
No. It was formed by the cabinet based on a cabinet paper, and the Prime Minister sat as the chair. He brought the Attorney General, who's deemed to be independent. He brought the Director General of Bribery Commission.
That's right.
Who represents an independent commission, and other police officials, and on one side, and kept his ministers who are politically elected and members of political parties.
So what
that
you're
support.
saying is, what was wrong about the FCID was that it was wrong for a committee to sit at temple trees,
Yes, committee
and
sat,
then to decide which cases to take and which cases not to.
Absolutely.
That's what you say.
And no citizen in this country was able to at least submit a complaint to that committee even. Complaints were brought by them.
Yeah.
And the priority was decided by them. And it was all aimed at, they targeted individuals. I mean, then people saw that. When people saw that, they thought, gosh, what is this the transparency and independence of judiciary? And then, then they went further. They appointed to the commissions. Now, take the Constitutional Commission, which is the highest of all the commissions.
Yeah.
There, if you may look at during that time, look at the composition.
Yeah.
Except for one member, all the others were favouring Ranil Wickremesinghe, appointed by him, directly or indirectly. So there was, just said, okay, we have formed independent commissions.
And
but the independent commissions, so-called, were functioning according to the whims and fancies of the UNP leadership. So people, you can, to the people, you can say, I'm democratic, I'm for democracy, I'm for transparency.
But the actions are all wrong. The actual practice, the actuality is completely different from all that.
So people saw that from day one, and like I told you, without promotion of export crops,
Yeah.
individual business interests of a few ministers came as priority, and they did whatever to protect those who are
I want to ask you something.
Close.
I want to ask you, because there's several questions. Sorry, I'm not going to take them, because it's all to do with the bond scam. And at Newsfirst, we made the bond scam what it is. We exposed it left, right, and centre, and took it to where we all know now about it. But so we all know about it. I don't want to bleat on about that. But I want to ask you this. During the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of bonds by the central bank and the report that followed, there was 106 pages that was kept back, claiming it to be confidential. It was held back by the former President Sirisena, probably on advice that he received. Do you think that President Nandasena Gotabaya Rajapaksa, whose manifesto specifically states that he will look into the bond matter and prosecute those implementing and planning, do you think that President Nandasena Gotabaya Rajapaksa, in a moment of transparency, will make that public? It is the public's money.
Yeah, public's money. I am not sure whether it's subject to legal advice that it has not been released as yet.
Or political advice.
Yeah, but if it's certainly due to political advice, present President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will not be bound by whatever pressure that he gets politically. He will release it. Of course, if it's strictly on legal advice, based on legal advice that he receives, release of those, if detrimental to the case, certainly at whatever point that it could be released, such document will be released. I can tell you yes or no without explaining that position, because there are certain documents that cannot be released to the general public.
But Chanima, I'm sorry, I'm all for secrecy and protection in terms of national security and all that.
Yeah.
But come on, where were those considerations? Where were the considerations for the people's interest, for the national security, and for good governance and all that? When they designed, they planned and designed. This was pre-planned. I believe you're a lawyer yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when what is the test for murder?
Yeah.
It's intent. It has to be premeditated.
Yeah.
This scam, for want of a better word,
Yeah.
was premeditated. They brought their man in from Singapore. They took over the central bank. For the first time in the history of this country, for heaven's sake, I'm tired of saying this, but this is what has happened.
Yeah. Certainly, we will not, in short, what I'm telling you is, present president will not do anything to hide under the carpet of whatever fraud that has taken place. And he has very clearly, very openly appointed the senior most officer of the central bank as the head of the central bank, which is very transparent. Whoever will be able to function independently. It should be the best for the country. We have not imported anyone from wherever, because we have let Sri Lankan talent that can be made use of, that has not been made use of. So we are not for corruption. That is why introduction of technology. This is the first tech-savvy president.
Half the country is holding their sides, laughing at your last statement, because you say we are not for corruption. Because
we are not,
the track record from the past has been abysmal. But carry on.
We're
looking at the future.
The present president we have our manifesto, where he states certain things very clearly, and he has started delivering. And I mean, look at the.
And we are happy to
look at the appointments.
Give him the necessary leeway to carry on.
Absolutely. So we need support from media. We need support from minorities.
We always, it's our pleasure to give the necessary support. But there's one thing that we will not be moved on or compromised, and that is in any form of cover-up.
Yeah.
Apart from cover-ups, we are ready to help in any way.
Absolutely, you don't have to cover up. And even like the people who will be assigned responsibility will have to be transparent. Had there been any issue regarding them, you can certainly point out. The president will take action, because it's a new political culture that we are the people expecting. People want transparency, people want efficiency, people want national security to be strengthened,
and people want to send comments to NEWSLINE Live. 0772 300 305.
People want introduction of new technology. All that will be done, and the education. We have always been talking about construction of schools, buildings, playgrounds. Those need to be done. But our education system, our curriculum is not a match or a patch to produce students, people to compete with the younger generation of the developed countries. They are not in a position to cater to the requirement, the opportunities available in the job market. So we are now ready to educate people, students, in such way that they can fulfill the requirements available in Sri Lanka and outside in the market as a skilled nation.
Now I want to ask you, one of the questions that is coming through here is that people are saying, what a colossal waste of money. Here's what I mean. First, there was President's house in Colombo. President Sirisena on election said he didn't want to occupy that because it appeared ostentatious. He was then given another house, which was two houses all rolled into one. That probably cost around 600 million. Mahinda Rajapaksa, as a former president, has a house. Now he will probably occupy Temple Trees. The colossal waste carries on. Can't we get real about this? How many houses, for heaven's sake, do you need, even if you have 3 children and a wife?
No, I mean, how?
And several dogs.
No, you're entitled to an official residence. My personal opinion is, if an official residence is located for a position, that should be made use of.
Yeah.
So I think it will be done that way.
I mean, what happened? He's got one house there, one house here, and they're just dishing it out as if it's nobody's business. 137,000 families don't have homes in this country.
It doesn't happen that. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that way. It will not happen that way, especially with this president.
Yeah. Because if they're going to occupy one house,
Yeah,
it's only a hop, step, and not quite a jump away from Temple Trees.
Yeah.
You know, and with the two backups, hopefully the former president's security status will be the same as the current president. Because
probably.
if he's going to have two backup vehicles, he's getting rid of 13. He's reducing his staff from 1,200 to 200.
Yeah.
These are all good signs.
Absolutely.
And he says he's going to respect the Motor Traffic Act.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
that
even
is what
better.
is expected. I mean,
Are you ready to tell your driver to respect all the rules?
No, in my case personally, I have always been using only one vehicle, even as cabinet minister, deputy speaker.
Yeah.
I've been using only one vehicle.
Yeah.
So we were trying to introduce this culture personally.
Yeah.
Now we are happy that we have got a leader who's keen to implement what we expected from the leadership to.
Long may he sustain this. This is all I can say about it.
Yeah.
Because Sri Lanka needs discipline.
Absolutely.
And Sri Lanka needs leadership.
Yes.
And
so
there's one little outfit, not little, but one outfit called Shauketaly, who are struggling with leadership forever and a day. But your party will also appears to have the same problem, but it's a problem that hasn't come to the brim yet, because it's all about Mahinda Rajapaksa.
No, I mean, our party had survived all these years. There was a split, and we realized what the nation expect. As a result of that, we got back together under the leadership of Mahinda Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa has been our leader since 2005. So, and his leadership is acceptable to a majority in this country. It was obvious when you look at the results of the elections. So, it is up to us to develop the country now without looking into small issues within the party. Of course, those has to be resolved at that level. Now our main responsibility is to develop this country, take this country forward. So our focus is that. That is what people expect from a political party. That is acceptable to the people. Otherwise, what happened to the UNP can happen to us also.
Are you going to indulge in sort of revenge politics?
Not under any circumstances.
Revenge law?
Not under any circumstances. The president's I think in his first statement to the country, covered it up. He very clearly, categorically said that there will not be revenge. I mean, it is not now. What happened to last government, their downfall was they were not trying to develop the country. Their main focus was targeting individuals whom they felt should be eliminated. But what happened? They were talking about corruption. What happened? The few cases that were concluded, in all such cases, the accused
were set free.
They were set free. So it shows, it's obvious that this is a part of a game to ridicule a political party that is becoming popular.
As we come to the end of Newsline Live today, I must say that the only thing that is obvious to the people is that there is a crying need for leadership, a crying need for the respect of the rule of law.
Now that need, I think, is fulfilled. We have brought about, country has elected a leader in whom they have faith. And now today at 1 o'clock, the Prime Minister that the country expected to take over. The entire country wanted Mahinda Rajapaksa to be back. I would have told, I've said this repeatedly at NEWSLINE programs. Now that dream is becoming true at 1 o'clock today. So with him assuming duties, together with the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, we will be able to take this country forward. People will be happy. Rather, people will be relieved of whatever issues that they have as of now, and the country will move forward. So this is the day, today is the day that the people in this nation expected, or rather long, a date that is long
awaited
for.
Well, you almost sound as though you a advertisement for the Maharaja Group, because at the Maharaja Group, dreams become realities because of the opportunities that the group provides. 3,742 people who work for the Maharaja Group.
Yeah.
But we are happy that you're taking, you've recognized that trait, and we hope that opportunity will also be spread, liberally spread right across our land, from north to south, from east to west.
Thank you very much. And it's obvious that Maharaja Group also we have the same pattern of thinking. We all,
our thinking is always
so we will be able to work together for the betterment of the country.
Thank you. The Maharaja Group is always people-centric. Thank you very much, Chandimavirakudi. And that's the way it was on Newsline Live this morning. Take care, have a safe day, and of course, God bless.